After the judgment of the waters, in a newly purified world where the roar of the deluge has ceased and the earth remains in damp silence, the survivors of the ark, led by Noah, the righteous man, descend with a palpable mixture of deep fear and rekindled hope. Humanity has been reset, but the essence of man's heart remains unchanged. The lineage is traced from Ham to Cush, and then emerges Nimrod, a name that will powerfully resonate. From his tender years, Nimrod is notably different. He possesses an intense gaze, a voice that attracts vast multitudes, and a burning ambition that blazes like fire in his veins. His calling is not pastoral or agricultural. He chooses the path of the hunt, not as a mere trade, but as a martial art. Extraordinary abilities mark his youth. He's incredibly fast, lethal in his movements, and extremely calculating. He is a practically invisible predator, silently gliding through dense trees. With firm hands and a penetrating gaze, he confronts the most fierce and terrifying beasts of the post-Diluvian world. In an era where nature is extremely wild and dangerous, Nimrod becomes a true legend. It is said that there is no beast he cannot fell, that his bow is infallible, and that his mere and imposing presence silences the powerful roars of lions. Having gained a respected name among men, Nimrod is no longer content to be seen merely as a hunter. His fame has grown exponentially. His presence inspires great respect, and his ambition seems to know no bounds. In an era when humanity wanders, facing the constant dangers of the wild and the persistent threats of hungry beasts, Nimrod conceives an idea that will change everything forever: organization. He questions why they should live in isolation and vulnerability. He proposes building solid walls, erecting imposing cities, and establishing effective systems of protection. His vision extends. Why not unite all these cities under a single powerful government? Why not build a vast kingdom and finally become king himself? With his remarkable cunning, great influence, and undeniable power, Nimrod ascends and becomes the first great leader of all humanity. He is more than a talented hunter. He is a man endowed with strategic vision and an inexhaustible thirst for dominion. A leader who not only desires to organize, but to unify the entire world under a human government, completely independent of the Creator. Thus he founded the first kingdom in biblical history, establishing the first system of collective and organized rebellion against God. The book of Genesis 10:10 confirms that the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. A colossal truth is revealed. Politics, city, empire, and false religion are born under Nimrod. However, his thirst for power is insatiable. He looks north, towards the highlands of Assyria, beyond the great rivers, and gathers a colossal army of thousands of men and cavalry that makes the earth tremble. With implacable force and violence, he sweeps through the Assyrian lands, subjugating villages and cities. He builds a new imposing fortress, Nineveh, a clear declaration of power. Nimrod considers himself invincible, untouchable, a true demigod. In the training camps, his name is a war cry, and priests in his temples begin to worship him as a divine envoy. His kingdom extends across Mesopotamia, where a system of spiritual arrogance consolidates. Nimrod advances in his ambition to build a world empire completely separated from God. For this, he needs two fundamental pillars: an imposing capital, Babel, to centralize power, and a symbol, a magnificent monument that unifies emotions and pride and represents his rebellion against God. Thus is born the Tower of Babel, a colossus that would proclaim that they could reach heaven without divine help. A new civilization emerges, united in one purpose: to exalt man above God. The construction of the tower faces an unexpected obstacle. The plain of Shinar lacks stone. Debates and excavations are in vain, but the decision to build the tower is firm. Nimrod proposes an ingenious alternative. Let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly. Let us use them instead of stone and tar as our mortar. Millions of men mobilize, building gigantic kilns. Day and night, calloused hands mold and fire the clay, resulting in hot, hard red bricks, each a silent declaration of rebellion. To bind the bricks, they need tar. A vast multitude heads to natural pits, collecting tons of sticky, durable bitumen. The tower begins to rise with no turning back. The city pulsates like a living organism. The smoke from the kilns and the smell of burning pitch fill the air. Days pass, and the tower grows implacably, reaching unimaginable heights. Men do falling, crushed, suffocated, but these are silent sacrifices to a work that promises eternity. Those who remain build with the ferocity of beasts, driven by incessant fervor and collective ambition under the command of the Hunter King. The heat is unbearable, but everything is calculated. Women and children distribute water, washing dust from cracked mouths. Banquets are sumptuous, with roasted meats, a reward for tireless labor, like animals tamed by ambition. At night, Babel transforms. Vibrant tribal music, drums and flutes replace the silence of the sky. Torches are lit, goblets raised, and the name of the god Marduk is invoked. The tower is a sacred offering to the new deity. Feasts are wild and uncontrolled, with wine flowing and revelry rampant. Men and women indulge in lust beneath the shadow of the colossal structure. After each night of celebration, the next day brings the implacable march of construction. The sound of flutes fades. The city awakens amidst dust, sweat, and glowing embers. Drunk and sleepy men drag themselves back to their posts. There is no compassion, no pause. The tower must continue to grow. The heat of the sun and kilns punishes relentlessly, but no one dares protest. Nimrod's vision is a collective obsession. With eyes burning from fatigue and fanaticism, they mold clay, lay bricks, and carry black pitch that bubbles like dark blood from the earth. The tower rises tall, gigantic, defiant. From distant fields, mountains, and villages all see it. It said it would reach heaven, that the gods would see it and bow. The city believes Babel will be eternal, that nothing will stop them, that man will be as God. The higher the tower rises, the deeper fear of God sinks. People no longer pray. The Creator is not remembered. The only glory is man's. Nimrod, from an elevated platform, sees each brick as a jewel, his eyes shining with the madness of one who has conquered heaven. Beneath his shadow, thousands toil as voluntary enslaved people to a corrupt cause, the exaltation of human ego. But heaven is not silent. God, the Eternal, watches with deep gravity this defiant structure. It is not just a tower. It is the undeniable symbol of a humanity that no longer loves him. United by one language and arrogance, men organize to usurp his place. God descends and proclaims, "Indeed, the people are one and all have one language," and this is what they begin to do. Now nothing that they propose to do will be withheld from them. Human unity generates a most dangerous ambition. The absence of linguistic barriers allows them to combine knowledge, build empires, and multiply pride. Nothing seems impossible, not for seeking good, but because hearts are still corrupted even after the flood. The judgment of the waters purified the earth, but the human heart remained polluted. Now this pollution manifests as a global project of rebellion, a world united to resist God. The Almighty cannot ignore this, not out of fear, but out of deep love. Why allow humanity to advance in its limitless madness? It would lead them straight to the abyss. The human heart has already proven capable of violence, idolatry, and corruption. The earth, united under one voice, rises against heaven itself. It is an organized, strategic, and global rebellion. Then God speaks, "Come, let us go down," and they confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. And so with a simple yet powerful divine act language, that invisible bridge connecting minds and hearts is completely broken. The first crack is imperceptible. A supervisor orders, "Lift the mixture." The carrier looks confused, responds with guttural sounds. "Nakare volontage." "Uduns." The supervisor frowns, thinks it's a joke, but the airline persists, now angrily in strange words. "On the other hand, hand me the chisel," shouts a worker. The other replies, "Soraklem what?" "Zrenia," asks the first. The second frowns, thinks he's being insulted, and repeats angrily. The first backs away. In seconds they are shouting, pointing, pushing. Nearby, a young man brings water to his father at the top of the tower. "Father, here it is." His father replies in words never heard before. "Sama Villantor?" The boy stops, confused, tries to speak again, but the man sees him as an unfamiliar child. Then the boy cries, and the father too. Women in the markets argue, "That's not what I asked for. You're robbing me. What are you saying? Speak clearly, speak my language." Stalls overturn, fruit rolls. One woman hits another with a basket, screams, crying. No one understands anyone. Everything becomes extremely noisy and chaotic. Inside a house, a wife cooks. The husband enters and asks about their son. She replies in a strange language. He thinks she's mocking him. They argue, she cries, he leaves. They loved each other, but now they cannot communicate. A musician plays his flute, hoping others will sing along as always, but no one follows. No one understands the lyrics. They hum different melodies in various languages, divided souls. The musician lowers his flute, looks around, and understands. The music has died. Priests rush to the temple, light incense, raise hands to the idol, recite prayers, but cannot understand each other. One thinks he is praising, another that he is cursing. They begin to argue, push and overturn altars. The idol remains silent. Desperate mothers search for their children, running through the streets, crying names with no response. A woman falls to her knees, holding a small shoe. Her voice fails. Tears fall on the dust of a city no longer her home. Nervous animals stir. Donkeys break loose. Camels rear. Dogs bark incessantly, for even they know something is broken. From atop the tower, Nimrod observes everything. Workers throwing tools, men fleeing, friends fighting, anguished faces, tongues shattering like broken glass. The world fragmented. As chaos spreads below, Nimrod does not move. Standing on his unfinished tower, the wind whips his royal robes. His golden crown slips from his brow, his unblinking eyes fixed on a world disintegrating beneath his feet. Where once was order, now is confusion. Where once was progress, now are screams, tears, and separation. His men no longer look at him nor hear him. Not because they don't want to, but because they cannot understand him. Nimrod kneels at the top, not out of humility, but out of pure weakness. His legs tremble uncontrollably. His pride slips through his fingers. He tries to speak, shouts, "Order, discipline, I am your king." But his words fall like stones into the void. No one responds. If anyone responds, it is in languages he does not recognize. He descends the tower step by step slowly, as if each step weighs an eternity. Upon reaching the ground, he is no longer a king, but just an ordinary man. He walks among the market remains, crushed fruit, torn looms, knives rusted with tears and blood. He sees his priests fighting, one bleeding from the forehead, another with torn robes, the incense extinguished. Nimrod ignores them and walks on. He reaches the temple, stops before the great statue of Marduk, his stone god. He raises his arms in despair. "Answer me, Zrenia. Please give me back my empire. Please give me the power to unite them again. Make them hear me. Do not leave me alone." The echo of his voice resonates through the temple walls, but the idol remains motionless. Not a flicker, not a breeze, just total silence, weighing more than 1,000 defeats. Nimrod falls to his knees, pounds the ground with his fists, shouts curses, weeps bitterly, throws dust on his head, tears his royal robe, screams until his throat is raw. But heaven does not answer. He spends the entire night there, slumped on the ground, trembling, sobbing, completely lost and helpless. Dawn finds him dirty, dejected, and devastated. Days later, he wanders like a beggar. People avoid him. No one speaks his name. The few who recognize him look with pity, For the one who was once the mighty hunter before the Lord now flees from his past. After the chaotic storm of confusion, a moment of silence follows, not of peace but of pure exhaustion. The screams cease, the violence subsides. The city of Babel lies in ruins, filled with confused, lonely, and utterly destroyed people. But then, something completely unexpected begins to happen. A man sitting beside a cold kiln murmurs despairingly, "Bread, I want bread." A few steps away, another man, a stranger, raises his head, eyes wide. He approaches. "Did you say bread?" "Yes," he replies in the same language. The two look at each other. They understand perfectly. At that moment, a spark of hope ignites amidst the ashes and desolation. Soon, others begin to find each other, some by pure chance, others by urgent necessity. A woman speaks to her daughter, and the girl replies in the same way, understanding her. An older man greets another older man, and the latter repeats his words with the same cadence. And so men and women begin to gather, driven by language. Small groups, tribes, and families unite by a language that connects them and at the same time separates them from others. They join hands, gather what little they have left, pots, tools, animals, and begin to march towards the unknown, not by their own choice, but by a divine impulse. Some head north, others descend the valleys, some cross rivers, and others climb steep mountains. In days, weeks, perhaps even months, humanity disperses widely. Those who speak with loud, rhythmic sounds settle in the southern deserts, where the scorching sun embraces the land. They build mud houses and skin tents. They begin to domesticate animals and start the tradition of telling stories around the night fire. They form the first tribe, which centuries later would be known as the Arab people. Others, speaking in a softer tone, follow the course of the great rivers, bypass fertile hills, and plant various seeds there. They invented the first rudimentary symbols to record their trade and give rise to the peoples of Mesopotamia and East Asia. Some, more adventurous, sail across unknown seas, building primitive rafts. The wind propels them beyond what they know, and their descendants reach distant lands, isolated islands, dense jungles, imposing mountains, and found civilizations hidden by time, the peoples of Oceania, America, and Africa. Others climb towards the great northern plains, where snow forms an impenetrable wall, where the wild forest reigns supreme, and where the sky seems to weigh heavily upon the earth. And there they skillfully carve wood, weave animal skins, and learn to resist harsh conditions. They give rise to the peoples who would inhabit Europe, the steppes and the northern valleys. Each group carries with it its own words, its unique songs, and its particular way of describing the world around them. But all, without exception, remember one place in common, the tower. And with time, the memory of Babel transforms into a legend, an ancient myth about a lost city where men dared to challenge God, and God separated them. And thus, nations arise not by military conquest, not by human politics, but by divine judgment and a greater purpose. What at first glance seemed like a curse becomes the perfect plan to populate the entire earth. Because, although God confused their languages, he never ceased to have a plan. And the echo of Babel still resonates today, present in every unique accent, in every spoken language, and in every origin story that exists. Because where human pride destroyed man, God's mercy dispersed him for a new beginning.